In today's video, I'm going to tell you how to maximize your earnings on DoorDash in 2025. So the first thing we're going to focus on is our dollar to mile ratio. This is something that a lot of you, if you watch DoorDash videos, you probably know from your driver Mike, I think his name is on YouTube. He wants you to be at $1.50 per mile. I believe this is because he delivers in the city. So I'm a suburb driver and I don't have to deal with city traffic or anything like that. So in my experience, at least $1 per mile is my baseline for something that I want to accept. So I've seen orders that are $2.75, 12 miles. There is no chance in hell you should ever accept a delivery like that. If you're trying to make it to platinum, I still want you to decline that. That is, you are just straight up paying somebody to bring them their food. We're gonna piggyback off of that with number 2 today. Acceptance rate does not matter. If your acceptance rate is 20%, DoorDash will still send you orders. So it doesn't really matter. If you want the platinum status because you want to be able to dash now as often as possible, maybe you're going to a zone that's not as busy, such as I am right now. I'm in Erie filming this. And I wanted to be platinum when I came here because I knew that if I wasn't platinum, I wouldn't be able to log in. But other than that, if you're in a busy zone, your acceptance rate really doesn't matter. You should be cherry picking the highest paying orders, $2 a mile, $3 a mile, making the most bang for your buck. Our third tip today also has to do with accepting orders. This one is accept orders that keep you within your zone. So DoorDash has zones that drivers deliver in, and whatever your zone is, you want to accept orders that keep you in or close to your zone. If an order takes you 15 minutes out of the zone, you have to factor in that it's taking you 15 minutes just to get back to the zone before you can get another order. The only exception to this is if it takes you into a zone that is paying in peak pay hours. Occasionally, I take a delivery from my zone to the zone next to me. Now, I only do this when the zone next to me is either very busy or is in peak pay, which is another $1, $2, $3 per order sometimes. And that can help you make more money. So sometimes it's okay to jump zones, but if you're not jumping a zone, you have to try to decline offers that take you out of your own zone and make it harder for you to make money as often as possible. I'm starting to realize that all these tips are kind of piggybacking off of each other. So tip number 4 is to dash during peak pay / peak times. So peak times is kind of subjective. It depends on your area. For me in the suburbs, peak time is 11 to 1 and 4:30 to 7:30 during the week. So every weekday, the lunch shift is busy, the dinner shift is busy, and I can usually make over $20 an hour during those times. If I go out and dash 2 to 4, I might only get 2 deliveries, 3 deliveries. Like it's pretty much a waste of my time. And I know this because I keep track of my dashes. But if you're able to dash during peak pay and make an extra $1, $2 per delivery, you're going to make a lot more money. That actually adds up a lot over 3 or 4 hours. If you take 10 deliveries and it's $2 peak pay, that's a bonus $20 that you weren't going to make before. So you might make $20 an hour on top of a $20 bonus just because it's during peak pay. My 5th and final tip with any side hustle you do, you need to keep a spreadsheet. I'm going to show you my spreadsheet and we're going to look at it right now. This is our first look at it. It's quite overwhelming looking at it like this. So here's how I break my spreadsheets down. This is my spreadsheet from last December, 2024. Okay. Let's just scroll over to right here and I'll zoom in on it. So my gross profit in 2024, you can see was $762 and some change. I keep track of my gas expense because that is important. That is what your net profit is. Your gas expense is the expense it costs you to work. Now, for me, my gas expense would have been over $100 anyway because I drive my car for other things. So it's not that big of a deal. And then you can see my net profit there, $564. And then you have to keep track of your business miles. I use an app called Driver's Note. And I'm not sponsored by them, obviously. I have 50 subscribers. Nobody's going to sponsor me yet. But it's a very good app. It's free. it keeps track of your business miles, and it gives you an estimate on what the government will give you back in tax deductions. So the rate in 2024 was 70 cents per business mile. So that's how we got this tax deduction here. So of my gross profit in December of $760, $460 of that is not taxable income. So I'm only getting taxed on $300 for December, which is a pretty good deal. All right, so enough of that. Let's look at the actual spreadsheet. Okay, we'll look at the whole thing first. I know it's a bit overwhelming. You can see I break it down into pay period, dash date, dash type, dash time, which is my time I spent dashing, time of day that I dashed. So I break that down into early morning, lunch, dinner, late night. I have some middays in there, and I did one breakfast shift. My dash location, those are the zones that I dashed in, so I know where dashing I make the most money. I've got my amount earned gross, the pay per hour, which is a really important one. I've got the orders, how many orders I delivered for that specific dash, my pay per order, which doesn't really matter that much, and then the miles driven and the pay per mile. The miles driven include my commute from my house to the zone and back to my house. So that's why my pay per mile is not always at $1, because it's another 5 miles sometimes for me to get to the zone. And then sometimes when I end my dash, it's 10 miles away from my house. So that can be skewed just a little bit. But we'll go through it piece by piece here. So go to the dash type. I keep track of which one's by order and which one's by hour. So you can see, and I have these all set up so that I can sort them. So you can see my 3 dashes, I had 5 dashes per hour, all within 3 days in the month of December. You can see that my pay per hour, I had 1 dash where it was $26, 2 of them where I made $26 an hour, and then 3 where I made less than $20 an hour. So it's not exactly a good sample size there. You want at least 10 to make a good sample size. And then my pay per mile was pretty good on that, except for that 45 cents one. I don't know how that happened. That must have been a 1 delivery. Yeah, that was a 1 delivery, and it was far away probably. Yeah, 25 miles, 45 cents. That makes sense. Other than that, every other time was over $1 per mile, which I'm happy with. Then I can also sort by dash time. So my longest dash will sort largest to smallest here. So you can tell, obviously, that these longer dashes are going to be the higher amount earned in total. And they're not always the highest pay per hour. So this over almost 3 hour shift that I did out in Beaver Falls, only $16 an hour. That is because there weren't many high paying orders there. And I only did that because I took my mom to work that day because we only had 2 cars and I still wanted to work. So that wasn't really out of choice. But it was a good experiment, and I really didn't make much money there, so I probably won't do it again. As you can see here, the dinner shift in Moon, $26 an hour. Lunch shift in Moon, $26 an hour. Late night in Moon for 4.5 hours. That was $19 an hour, $19.84, so basically $20. The caveat to that is I delivered in 3 zones that night during that shift. I made it all the way to the city of Pittsburgh. So that's kind of not really a reliable data point there. Now we're going to look at the 2 most important metrics, in my opinion, which are the pay per hour and the pay by mile. I'm not even really going to look at the pay per order. I just keep that just because it's not that important. So we're going to sort our pay per hour. We're going to go largest to smallest. And you're going to immediately see this top one jump off the page. It's $36.68 an hour. That was actually my first day door dashing of the year. And it was before Thanksgiving. I got 2 huge orders. It was like $17 and $24 back to back. So I only worked for a little over an hour and I made $45. So that pay per hour is pretty skewed. And so are these next 4. You can see how it's 1 hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half, 45 minutes. And all of those are pretty high, 29, 28, 26, 26. Those are all my pretty high paying ones. These next couple here, You can see when I worked longer shifts, sometimes that means lower per hour. And this midday shift is what I'm talking about. $9.25 an hour. That's barely above minimum wage in Pennsylvania. And that's because I dashed from 2 to 4. So that is not the right time to dash. If you want to know the best times to dash, you can look at the pay per hour here, then go over and see when it was. 4 of my 5 top pay per hour, 3 of my 4 top were dinner shifts. And you can see I don't even get out of dinner or lunch until I'm below $20 an hour. So dinner and lunch shifts are my only shifts that are above $20 an hour. Obviously, that should tell you that that is when you should dash. So that's why we keep a spreadsheet, because it's important to know when you're going to make your most money, especially doing this as a side hustle. And if you're a full-time dasher, if you want to dash 40 hours a week, you need to make sure that within your 40 hours, you're dashing 11 to 7:30, especially if you're in the suburbs. Those are the busy hours. And then on the weekend, get up early, stay up late. If you want to grind it out, you can. 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. Like, that is, how many hours is that? That's a 19-hour shift, but you're going to make a lot of money. I might do that, actually. I might try that. Finally, we're going to look at the pay per mile, and this is not the most reliable because sometimes I forget to open my driver's note app and start a trip, which you do have to remember to do to track your miles accurately. So this $2.47 per mile, that might be accurate because I remember this dash vividly. This is my $36 per hour dash, and man, was it perfect. Everything was super close. I never left the zone. There was only 3 deliveries, so I believe that one's right. And then you can see a bunch of these shifts are over $1 a mile, which is awesome. And then if we go to the very bottom here, 45 cents, 47 cents, I mean, less than 50 cents a mile, that is diabolical, and those are both midday shifts. These are my only 2 shifts that I worked between the hours of 2 and 4, and I only took 1 delivery, as you can see, and they were just terrible per mile pay. So that's good to know. You know, you need to know, as important it is to know when you should dash, it's very important to know when you can't dash. And 2 to 4 for me is a no dash time. All right, while I'm editing this video, I'm gonna work on creating a downloadable link for this spreadsheet so you guys can use it if you want. I'll put it down in the description. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'll figure it out before I upload the video. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck dashing.